Joining us now from Texas is comedian and host of Blaze TV's Prime Time with Alex Stein. Alex, great to see you. Well, it's a tough day for some mainstream media outlets. The CEOs of NPR and PBS have been grilled by House Republicans on the DOGE subcommittee about biased news coverage backed by federal funding. And for NPR's Catherine Ma, well, it was embarrassing with her old tweets coming back to haunt her. She now says she regrets calling the president a racist.
Let me ask you, why did you call President Trump a fascist and a deranged racist sociopath in 2020?
Congressman, I appreciate the opportunity to address this. I regret those tweets. I would not tweet them again today. They represented a time where I was reflecting on something that I believe that the president had said rather than who he is. I don't presume that anyone is a racist.
You don't believe anyone is a racist?
I don't start by presuming anyone is a racist.
It's uncomfortable to watch. And the NPR CEO then admitted that her organisation missed the mark in its lack of coverage of the Hunter Biden laptop scandal during the 2020 election and the origins of COVID.
First of all, I do want to say that NPR acknowledges that we were mistaken in failing to cover the Hunter Biden laptop story more aggressively and sooner. Our current editorial leadership...
Wuhan?
We recognize that we were reporting at the time, but we acknowledge that the new CIA evidence is worthy of coverage and have covered it.
This comes amid a push to defund public broadcasting. Here is Marjorie Taylor Greene on this issue.
The Corporation for Public Broadcasting is using taxpayer dollars to actively suppress the truth, suppress diverse viewpoints, and produce some of the most outlandish, ludicrous content. After listening to what we've heard today, we will be calling for the complete and total defund and dismantling of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Here's how it works in America every single day, private businesses operate on their own without government funding. We believe that you all can hate us on your own dime.
Alex, is it fair enough?
Yeah, it's more than fair. And listen, America as a country, it's a great country, but America's government is not a great government. Our federal government is so incompetent that anything they touch, it turns to absolute garbage. And you can look at NPR. I mean, she's over there apologizing for calling Trump a racist, yet they did about 200 articles and even more than that when they talked about their public airwaves about the Russian collusion hoax. That all turned out to be a lie. And she got pressed on that. But these people, they have no consequences for their actions. So they can just go there and willy-nilly and speak about a president in the most terrible ways possible in order to try to help their political party. Because these people at NPR, they're not journalists. They're just creative writers at this point, and they do need to be defunded.
And there were concerns after it was revealed last year that NPR has 87 editorial positions filled by registered Democrats in DC and 0 Republicans. I mean, surely that's a factor in potentially biased coverage.
Well, obviously, and can you imagine if you even worked there and you're the lone conservative person, how terrible that would be? And I'm not even saying that it would have to be 50-50 liberals and conservatives that work there, but 87-0, I mean, talk about bias. And that's what's the main issue when it comes to this, is that there's a clear bias that helps one political party and is trying to hurt the other political party. And that's the opposite of what free speech is supposed to be about in this country. They are a government-funded organization that should be speaking out against the government, but not just speaking out against one side of the government. So, I'm happy to see them go. I'm sad for people losing their jobs. I don't want anybody to lose their job, but they are just a media arm of the Democratic Party at this point.
And I think a lot of people are seeing that, questioning that, and really not trusting some media outlets. President Trump has pardoned Hunter Biden's former business partner, Devon Archer. He was convicted of swindling an American Indian tribe, but Archer became a key informant for House Republicans investigating Joe Biden's role in his family's foreign business dealings. Now, the president told the New York Post that he's getting a full pardon. He was screwed by the Bidens. They destroyed him like they tried to destroy a lot of people. And Archer has thanked President Trump and said, like so many people, my life was devastated by the Biden family's selfish disregard for the truth and for the peace of mind and happiness of others. The Bidens talk about justice, but they don't mean it. I mean, what's your reaction to all of this?
Well, we've spent the last 4 years talking about Hunter Biden's drug problem, the fact that he has a lot of skeletons in his closet. You know, he's been accused of leaving cocaine potentially in the White House. We don't know if that's true, but of all the negative things about Hunter Biden, it just shows you that Donald Trump is actually about class, that this person, Devin Archer, and whether or not they did something illegal, was in business with Hunter Biden. And when Devin Archer got in trouble, what did the Biden crime family do for him? Nothing. They did not help him out. They wanted him to be the fall guy. So it just shows you that Donald Trump is sticking his neck out there to help a guy that he knows was royally stabbed in the back by the Biden crime family. And, you know, I'm sick and tired of sitting here and talking about Hunter Biden. I do honestly wish him the best, but nothing makes me happier that nobody is buying his art anymore. That tickles me to death. Now that his dad is not the president, nobody wants to buy his terrible art.
Can't believe people were buying it in the first place. But let's circle back to fake news, I guess. Vanity Fair has published a piece inside the Kamala Harris campaign's first week and final hours, the highs and lows of the VP's 2024 presidential run, from the new book Uncharted by Chris Whipple. And it reveals that, well, what Kamala Harris apparently said the moment she knew she lost the election. Apparently she said, "Oh my God, what is going to happen to this country?" Alex, do you buy that?
I don't know. You remember how cringe when she said, "We did it, Joe"? Everything she says is cringe, so I wouldn't be surprised. But I'll tell you what's going to happen to this country. The prices of eggs are going to go down. The price of gas is going to go down. Illegal immigration is going to go down. And this country is on a path to recovery. So the country's going to be a lot better. So that's why she's mad. She's mad that she can't destroy America and our values any longer. So the country's better off without her. And listen, you don't have to be conservative, liberal. Just know this, that Kamala Harris is not a talented politician. She would have been the worst person for the job, whether you like her politics or not, because she's just not very competent. The way she even got elected or selected to be the vice president was because she was a woman of color. And that is not a meritocracy. She didn't get that position because she was the most talented person. She got that position based on checking boxes on in her ethnicity and the fact that she's a woman. So she does not deserve to be president just because she's a woman. We need an actual talented woman, somebody that knows what they're doing. And that was the best thing that could actually happen to this country, was Kamala Harris losing this past election.
Yeah, I don't buy for a second that was her actual response. She knew she was not going to win that election. I don't think she was going to say, "Oh my God," or it was just bad acting. President Donald Trump signed an executive order directing the FBI to immediately declassify files related to the Crossfire hurricane investigation, the agency probe that sought information on whether Trump campaign members colluded with Russia during the presidential race. After signing the order, Donald Trump said that now the media can review the withheld files. Take a listen.
What exactly is in those files?
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother because you're not going to like what you see. But this was total weaponization. It's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. But now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified. Is that correct? Would
Yes,
you
sir.
say? All declassified?
Yes, sir.
Everything?
The FBI file with there's a classified annex, but other than that, we'll put everything in the public eye.
For years, Donald Trump argued the FBI's probe, co-named, I should say, Crossfire Hurricane, was politically driven. Alex, what are we going to learn now that these files will be declassified?
Sadly, we probably already know everything that we're going to find out. We know that the whole thing was a hoax, was based on lies, and was just an attempt to try to discredit the president and have him get impeached or have him not even be elected in the first place. But this is the thing. It's like, are we going to hold these people accountable for lying? I don't know. Is Donald Trump going to throw people in jail for this? Probably not. But I'm just happy that the American people are going to actually find out the truth, for all the people that did think that Vladimir Putin was able to decide the election. That's absolutely insane. And I'm not saying Vladimir Putin is some good guy. He's done terrible stuff to journalists. But it would just take very little common sense to realize that Vladimir Putin was not the person that got Donald Trump elected. It's just ludicrous, but they tried to run with it because the people believed it. The media needed something to, slander Donald Trump with, and I'm happy that we're going to get the truth. But other than the truth, I don't think that we'll have any other outcome or anybody will actually face repercussions for these lies.
Yeah, truth and common sense coming out years and years later. Now, I want to talk to you about voting. Trump has signed another executive order requiring people to prove their citizenship when they register to vote. Now, federal law currently requires that voters promise that they are citizens and are eligible to vote when they register, and courts have prevented states from adding documentary proof of citizenship requirements for voters. Now, Trump's order directs the Election Assistance Commission to redo its voter registration form and require voters to show US passports or other government ID that shows citizenship to register to vote. Alex, again, it seems like common sense to me.
I mean, give me a break. It's the most common sense thing. In order to buy a beer in America, you have to show an ID. To get on an airplane, you have to show an ID. But these people think showing an ID to vote is somehow racist. It just doesn't make sense. It's the same logic that they think it's okay for a child to get transgender surgery, but it's not okay for a child to get a tattoo. So it's illogical, doesn't make sense. And I mean, once again, showing your ID should be a requirement. That is
Absolutely.
not a xenophobic tactic. You have to prove who you are. This is a simple thing. I have to prove who I am when I go to the bank. When I go to a lot of places, I have to prove who I am. This is just how we operate here in America. But when it comes to voting, for some reason, Democrats want it to be where you don't have to show any identification. Why is that? What would be the motivation behind not having to show ID? It's just, it makes you think, huh? What's that all about, Gabby? I wonder why.
Look, finally, let's talk about JD Vance. He arrived by helicopter at Marine Corps Base at Quantico today to meet with Marines, and as he stepped up to address them, he was met with a pretty big welcome.
Hurrah, Marines, how we doing?
Quite the welcome. They certainly love him.
Well, of course, you'd love him too if you had to go see Kamala Harris go up there for the past 4 years. And now you finally have a real man that was a veteran that cares about this country, that sacrificed his life, put it on the line to protect us. So, yes, I'm not actually surprised that he got that warm of a welcome, because by going and serving in the United States military, I consider you a hero. And listen, you can criticize people. I don't necessarily like war, but I love every man and woman in the uniform, and I really appreciate their service. And that service that I appreciate, they showed that same gratitude to the Vice President, JD Vance, when they saw him, because he's one of them. Unlike a lot of these politicians where they feel like they're better than, or they're at a higher level, they can actually relate with a guy like JD Vance. And that reception, it kind of warmed my heart. It made me feel good to be an American when I saw that.
Alex Stein, it is so good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.